want to spend a little time talking to you about what to do after you get your private pilot license. Lots of people will, for example, first thing they do is they get a night rating, and I agree with that because it allows you to add a lot of utility. You can stay out after the street lights come on, so that's good. But what we want to talk about today is, maybe you want to consider getting your instrument rating. And question that I get asked a lot is this too hard? Is this something that's really, really difficult? Do you have to be some super pilot to get your instrument rating? And the answer is no, you don't. It takes some study and some practice, but it does add a lot of utility to what you already have. You're not going to be as restricted by weather. In a light airplane, you're still not running an airliner, but it is going to add utility. It's going to allow you to provide a lot more experiences. So, pilots find that they just like going out and doing this kind of thing. A really important thing to consider is that it will add a layer of safety. So it does, in fact, make you it gives you skills you don't have as a VFR pilot. Many times we find this is really not as hard as you think it is. It's just like when you were first learning to fly, it was like drinking from a fire hose. An instrument rating really is something that's probably attainable for you. Probably more fun than you realize too. So just something to keep in mind and understand. You do not have to be an airline pilot. You do not have to be somebody that owns a really fast, expensive airplane. This is just something that you may want to consider to make yourself more proficient, more confident, and also, you're going to have a whole lot of fun doing it. So let's talk about what you have to do. The first thing you need to do if you want to get an instrument rating is you got to acquire 50 hours cross-country time as the pilot in command. So in other words, we don't give instrument ratings to people who have never been anywhere. And a lot of my students say this is the most fun part because it gave them the motivation to get out and actually fly places, which also has the tendency to build up your confidence. There is, of course, a written test. This one's only 50 questions, but the good news is there's lots of support out there to help you pass this written test. 40 hours of instrument training, but let's just put a pin in that right now because I'll tell you about the 40 hours of instrument training. Of that 40 hours, the 5 hours you did on your PPL, the 5 hours that you would do with your night rating, that comes off the 40-hour total. So now we're at 30 hours. 20 hours can be done in a flight training device or simulator, one that's approved, and these are in many different flying schools right now. The nice thing about simulator training is it's not weather dependent, and also if you mess something up, it's really easy to reset it. It's not expensive to simply reposition the simulator and do it again. So the rate of learning is really, really fast, or greatly improved if you have access to a simulator. If the school you're training at now doesn't have one, this might be a time to maybe visit another flying school that has one. And in many cases, your instrument rating can be completed in a fairly short period of time. So it's not like you're going to have to move 100 miles away and live there for 6 months. A lot of flying schools, in particular small ones, are simply not able to offer an instrument rating ground school. There just aren't enough people. A lot of times, if it is offered, it's not offered frequently. So inevitably, you show up just as the class is finishing, and you may have to wait a long time. So it may not be offered frequently. Sometimes a instrument rating ground school is taught by somebody with limited experience. It may be the instructor that drew the short straw and has to teach ground school tonight. These are all problems with a lot of flying schools, and I'm certainly not saying all. There are many good ones out there, but the issue for a lot of people getting their instrument rating is getting past the exam. You can actually get your instrument rating with nothing but self-study, But to that, I say good luck. So one of the benefits of taking an instrument rating ground school is it's really going to improve your confidence. You're really going to know this stuff. If you can get somebody experienced to explain it, explain what everything means, answer your questions, and a lot of people have the same questions, but everybody has their own questions, and you want to get those things cleared up. So a little plug now for the Hangar Instrument Rating Ground School, the IFR Ground School. Basically lets you take an instrument rating ground school on your own schedule. It's a great supplement to your own study, or if you have taken a ground school someplace, many times it's good to revisit these things. And a lot of people say, this is very, very helpful. You're able to see, all the different procedures, how an instrument pilot flies around. So these are, all good things.